Welcome to Against the Spread, where we here at Sportsnet pick NFL games for you against the spread, hence the name. And we're going to do this 2 times before the Super Bowl. Next week, we've got your prop bets, all the things you really want to know. If you're not a hardcore football fan, like how long the anthem is going to be, colored Gatorade, stuff like that. This week, we're going in for the hardcore football heads in what was a pretty good week of football in the conference championships. Not close, but good.
No, yeah, exactly.
What are your takeaways from what we saw this past weekend?
I think it's clear that these are the 2 best teams in the playoffs that are now in the Super Bowl. It's like a best case scenario that we're getting in the Super Bowl because, you know, as fun as the Titans run was, I think we saw on Sunday that there were some deficiencies in their game when it came down to it. They weren't the best team in the AFC. Ravens fans might have a problem with that, but you know they just couldn't put it together when it mattered most. And then in the NFC, I think we saw what we had seen all season long from the Packers, which it was a team that could compete, but they just, again, they had some holes in their game all over the defense, for example. And so we're getting the best 2 teams, and we have the best player in the game going to be in the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes, and he showed exactly why he is the best player in the game right now on Sunday. He just had an incredible game, a game for the ages.
And some people watching this specifically, maybe from the Baltimore, Maryland area, will be, wait a minute, what do you mean the best 2 teams? If this was the Premier League, the Ravens would be champions.
Yeah, but it's not.
Right, but it's not. And Mahomes may be the most exciting player, but Lamar Jackson clearly is the MVP. And to that I say, this guy had a dislocated kneecap for a good portion of the season. Matt Moore came off the couch. He stopped coaching high school football and was playing NFL football. And even when Mahomes got back, it still took a couple weeks for him to look right and for that offense to look right. Mm-hmm. Now you see his mobility. The play of the playoffs is him running with the ball. Exactly. Some of his great throws have been on the run from all different arm angles. Yeah. I think you're right. These are the 2 best 2 teams when healthy, even though no one at this point of the year is actually truly healthy. But when they have all of their parts, these are the best 2 teams.
Right.
And they're the most balanced team. And that's why we've got 1-2 once again in the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl full of top 2 seeds. I'm having a real tough time calling it because this will be, and this is my takeaway, this is a referendum on how you play the sport, specifically offensively. I think right now we've got the 2 best play callers in the game, in Shanahan and Andy Reid. Although Andy Reid probably a while back was thought of as the best play caller when Shanahan's dad was one of the best play callers in the game. So times have changed, but the styles have changed. You look at the Niners running the ball down your throat with multiple backs.
Yeah.
And you've got Kansas City who are spraying it all over the place. Crazy formations, lots of jet motion. They're airing the ball, and really they're throwing to run it at times.
Right, and they're super aggressive. They throw in situations where you normally think this should be a pass or a screen.
Yes.
Like in the AFC title game, and Romo saying, you know, it's 3rd and 10. It's probably going to be a screen here. And then he checked himself and said, oh, wait, you know, this is Andy Reid.
Right.
They're probably going to throw on 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and it's not just the traditional guys that you have to worry about, although they're a problem of the number 1 receiver in Hill or the playmaking tight end in Kelsey. Whether it's Watkins or Hardman, like they'll find guys to have monster games against you.
Yeah.
And it changes week to week. Where the Niners, they said, yeah, you know what? We're going to give $5 million to a fullback.
Right.
He's going to make more than the 2nd and 3rd highest paid fullbacks combined because running the football means that much to us. So I think just as a lover of the game, I love the different styles that we're going to see on Sunday. But I'm not really sure which one is better to literally bet on. And so that's why this game fascinates me.
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple of things from that. The Chiefs offense, which we saw on Sunday, has the ability to, when it's playing at its best, alter the opposing offense's game plan. And we saw that with Tennessee. Once Mahomes started taking over and once they took that lead going into half, the Titans basically abandoned Derrick Henry. I think he had 3 runs in the second half for 7 yards, which has been his strong point in the third quarter, just mowing down teams and ending the games. And so the really interesting part, given what we saw from the 49ers, is in this game, if the Chiefs are able to do that same thing, take over the game with the offense and force the 49ers to then alter their game plan, how do the 49ers do it? And I think what's really fascinating about the 49ers in this game is that although they've run the ball almost exclusively in the last two games, they have shown an ability to be able to pass not only in a small way, but elitely. I think we've seen Garoppolo 4 times or 3 times this year. He threw 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then he's thrown at least 3 touchdowns in 4 games. So, yes, he threw the ball 8 times on Sunday, but he only had to throw the ball 8 times. The thing with the 49ers, change the game plan, they can still do it. And that's what makes them so dangerous, is that you might force them to abandon their original game plan, but they'll have plan B, and that could work just as well, if not better.
Yeah. The thing is, it's funny. In football, you always say, well, we want balance, right? We want balance. Both of these teams are very comfortable not being balanced.
Yeah, for sure.
And you look at the Niners specifically, and you mentioned them not having to throw the football. Garoppolo threw that interception against Minnesota in the divisional round, which feels like 1,000 years ago now. Since that pick, Kyle Shanahan has called 77 runs to 12 passes.
That's incredible.
It's he's playing Tecmo football in the NFL,
right,
and is having no issues.
No, the play of the offensive line for the 49ers, you talked about Juszczyk and the way that George Kittle blocks, it just makes it so that Mostert, who had an amazing game, would be 7 yards downfield before he was even touched.
Yeah.
Like, as a former running back, how do you view the 49ers and the way that they run the ball?
Well, I was like, it was a tough break for Tevin Coleman, because he could end up being Super Bowl MVP if he's healthy, just because if you're on the field, when you're in the red zone, you're probably going to get a touchdown and score. He mentioned those runs by Raheem, and he's averaging 7 yards a carry, and 7 teams passed up on him, which is also crazy. I was watching with some buddies, and we were counting the amount of scores that he had that would have been touchdowns in touch football, that would have been touchdowns in two-hand touch football.
Right.
Like, that's what he's doing in the NFL. 3rd down and 8, they call a trap play, and he ends up going the distance and scoring. Like, that's not what you're supposed to call, but then it's not supposed to happen.
No, it's
and
crazy.
So we were supposed to come out of that game second-guessing Kyle Shanahan in that decision, but really we were second-guessing LaFleur. How do you not go for it early in the game with 1 yard to go on your 50? Do you not know that if you give up the ball, you might not get it for like a half an hour in like real time?
Yeah.
So that's why I think this game's fascinating. The recipe for Tennessee theoretically would be similar to the recipe for the Niners. Run the ball, keep Mahomes and that offense off of the field, limit their possessions, thus limit the chances they have for explosion plays. Here's the problem, is that no one was doing that better than Tennessee in the playoffs, and it worked in the first half until it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter, because as you saw right before halftime, they just get a bunch of quick scores. So it doesn't matter how often they have the ball. The Chiefs have been outscored 31-0 in the first quarter in the playoffs, and it hasn't seemed to matter. So
no, it doesn't matter.
I thought to this myself, I was like, well, San Francisco is just going to run the hell out of the ball. They're going to control the clock. They're going to beat the Chiefs down, who against the run were 25th in terms of DVOA, and they're just going to do what they did to the Packers and everybody else in the NFC. But I was like, well, no, because if Derrick Henry couldn't do it, coming off of a legendary postseason, well, why do I think the Niners could do it? I don't know if I have that much more faith in Garoppolo than I do Tannehill.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If anything, I might have less faith in Garoppolo.
Yeah, he's thrown less. We don't trust him. And when Garoppolo has made a couple of passes in a row, or it looks like they're going to try more passing, he then throws some wild passes, that look like they could be intercepted, or in the case of the Vikings game, they did. So then Shanahan backs it all off and they run the ball 47 times. But maybe one of the most impressive parts of the Chiefs' win outside of Mahomes is what you're alluding to with stopping Derrick Henry. The defensive line did an amazing job, and the linebackers in the first quarter it looked kind of like they were going to allow Henry to come to them, and then it kind of changed, and they plugged all the gaps. And Chris Jones made a big impact in the second half, but he wasn't there for a lot of the snaps, and the Chiefs' defensive line was still able to get it done. So if Chris Jones gets a couple weeks, that injury that he has heals up a little bit, and he's able to play at full strength 2 weeks from now, I think there is a good chance that we could see the 49ers have to adjust their game plan. Not saying that they're not going to be able to run. I think given the way that the runs are schemed and the way that they block, it's going to be really tough to stop the 49ers, but I think the Chiefs definitely have a better shot at it than maybe we originally thought before the AFC title game.
I agree. And listen, I'm torn, so let me know who I should pick because I've waffled back and forth. But as of right now, and the line is -1 as we get to our picks, I'm leaning with Chiefs, and this is why. It's actually exactly what you said. The job that the Chiefs did against the run and Derrick Henry, this guy amazes me, and I think he's going to win multiple Super Bowls. His run has been legendary so far. He's the highest QBR in the postseason since the merger. 11 TDs, 0 INTs. I think he has a big day. He's probably going to be the Super Bowl MVP. But
the real playoff games, they haven't scored less than 30 points.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
but the reason why, if they win, they're going to win is because of their defense, and specifically their defense against the run. And Sorensen might as well have been the defensive lineman. He was around the line of scrimmage so much.
Yep.
That was the difference, is that they stacked the box and made it a numbers game. Derrick Henry might gash us, but he's going to do it against 8 and maybe 9 people. And if Ryan Tannehill, he's made some timely throws, but if he wants to make throw after throw after throw against us, well, then we'll shake his hand and say, good luck in the Super Bowl. And the thing I didn't understand with the Packers was when it was obvious to everyone that Garoppolo was looking at his play sheet and calling run right, run left, run right, run left, why didn't you adjust?
Yeah, they didn't stack the box at all.
At all. When Mostert was on the field, he faced an 8-man box for only 13% of his snaps. Like that's inexcusable.
Yeah,
like
it really is. That's a fireable offense.
He should have never seen less than an 8-man box. Like
maybe early in the game, but then later on.
And down in distance dictating, right? If it's third and long, maybe you're in your nickel and your dime packages.
Yeah.
But again, early in the game, on 3rd and 8, he ran for a touchdown untouched. So even in obvious pass situations, they were running the ball. So I don't think Kansas City and Steve Spagnuolo, who loves to bring pressure at the best of times, I think he's just saying, guys, we are going to stop the run on the way to the quarterback. We're going to bring numbers. We're going to bring blitzes, and sometimes they'll be run blitzes, sometimes they'll be all-out blitzes, but we're bringing pressure and bringing numbers all of the time, and we're just going to line up and show you. And if that means you check out of a run, so be it, because at the end of the day, Garoppolo taking a 7-step drop is a better outcome than Garoppolo doing a reverse pivot and handing the football off. Yeah, no matter what happens after that play, as soon as you see that as a defender, you feel like, well, we're winning if he's throwing the ball. Yeah. And they have a very good receiving core. I think the receivers are better than the Titans, but I still think law of averages, you'd rather have San Francisco try and air it out against you.
Yeah, definitely, just given the success they've had on the run. I think one matchup we haven't really talked here about yet is that front seven of the 49ers against Patrick Mahomes.
Yes,
and
good point.
If they can't get pressure on Mahomes and allow him to do the kind of things that he was able to do against the Titans, and the Titans weren't able to get much pressure, that's probably one of the Titans' defense's biggest downfalls, is they can't get pressure. But we know how good this 49ers defensive line is, and if they can get pressure after Mahomes, we could see the Chiefs' offense thrown a little bit off kilter here. And I think that's the biggest factor in this game. Given the way that Mahomes is playing right now, I would be really surprised if we saw him thrown off his game to a big extent here. That would probably be the biggest surprise of the Super Bowl if that were to happen. But that, I think, is where the game is going to be decided.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback who made throws that just you're not supposed to make, that scratch your head, that, not in terms of necessarily stats or championships, but just critically acclaimed, was considered the best based on degree of difficulty that he played at, was Aaron Rodgers. I think that torch has now been passed, and it's now Patrick Mahomes.
For sure it is.
And when we look at the comp of Rodgers versus this Niners defense, who he's faced twice this year, in the first game, knocked him down 10 times. Really got after him, kept him under 200 yards passing, one of his worst performances of his career. In this game, he was 300 plus. And a lot of that is because they were behind for most of the game. He was only knocked down twice, but he never felt comfortable.
Right.
And I think it's a huge dilemma. I'm looking forward to see how the Niners defense, who if they win a Super Bowl and they play really well, I think we'll talk about them like we do the Ravens, like we do the Buccaneers, like we do some of the great Giants defenses as one of the best defenses of all time. I'm interested to see how they attack this offense, because you can bring pressure, but if you don't get home, Mahomes has shown that he'll tuck it and run. He's run for 50 plus in the last 2 games.
Right.
If you are man to man, all the secondary guys are running man to man, looking at who they're covering. They don't have eyes in the backfield. All of a sudden, Mahomes is running down their back. If you're zoning it, well, he's just going to pick you apart, and the receivers are just going to find space in zones, catch. Then they have lots of room for yards after catch. But again, if you're man to man with them, well, one slip. We saw in the Sammy Watkins touchdown, and it one slip, you think you have everything covered. All of a sudden, Mahomes never misses. It's a big play, and it's a splash play, and it changes momentum.
That throw was unbelievable.
Right? So
he can burn you so many ways.
But you think he's relatively well defended. He's flushed. He's running to his right. He throws across his body, feet not set, shoulders not turned, throws a strike for a touchdown. And so even if, let's say, okay, we're going to zone and we're going to double, or we're going to man and we're going to double. Who do you double?
Right.
In the Titans said, well, in the red zone, we're going to double Kelsey because he's a red zone beater. Tyreek Hill, 2 touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah.
If you double Hill for the balance of the field, then Kelsey's killing you on a linebacker or a safety. So there are so many matchup problems, and Andy Reid does such a good job of keeping you off balance because he has that massive menu as a play calling sheet. I'm not really sure what the right approach is.
Yeah.
They have 2 weeks to scheme and think of scenarios, but no one's really been able to stop this offense.
No.
Even the Patriots were able to score more than them and slow them down a little bit, and some bad weather helped them. That's not going to be the case in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the right answer is.
No, we talked about the defensive line. I think that's the key. But do you try and contain him? That's where him now using his legs a lot more than we're used to seeing becomes a huge factor. Like you were saying, do you just try and contain Mahomes, try and keep him in the pocket? Because if he's able to step up and move around, he can make those throws, like you said. Because if you're too aggressive bringing the pressure and he makes you miss, then you're burned.
Yeah.
It's a really, really tough matchup for the 49ers defense. If they do win, like you said, what an effort that will be, because this offense is just so hard to stop. There's so much speed on that offense. You talk about Hill. Talk about Hardman too.
Yep.
Like he's been a game changer. Sammy Watkins. They have Robinson. All those guys are speedy guys. So and Mahomes can hit all of them.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough task.
The Niners played against an athletic quarterback from the AFC earlier in the year in Lamar Jackson, and they tried to spy him, and they tried some passive pressure. Like, let's keep him in the pocket. Let's not get out of our rush lanes. Let's make him feel a little bit uncomfortable. That clock starts to tick in his head, and maybe he'll force a throw.
Right.
The difference with Mahomes is, even if you have that passive pressure and 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, the offense is now off rhythm. He can't make his throws on time. He's getting a bit concerned. He might make a mistake. The issue is, his receivers can't outrun his arm. So a play is still live, even if you think, all right, we should be home by now. Someone should be sacked. We should be okay. No, the scramble drill is always still alive because there's no throw on the field he can't make. So again, I'm not really sure what the right answer is. I think there is an answer to how you stop the Niners offense. This is whether or not you can actually do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Whether or not you really...
It's easier said than done.
Totally. Okay, we're going to stack the box. Sure. But do you want to stand there and get road graded for 4 quarters? Or are you eventually going to make some business decisions and move out of the way and all of a sudden a hole is created?
Yeah.
You know what you have to do, but do you want to do it, right? It's a test of wills. Right. I don't even know what you're supposed to do with the Chiefs. And having said that, I'm going with the Chiefs -1. Are you?
Yeah, I am. I just, like we've kind of said here for the last few minutes, is just what are the 49ers going to do, because you can get burned so many ways by this Chiefs offense. I just don't think it's going to be enough, and it's so hard to make predictions because something is going to happen in this game that no one is going to predict. But when it comes down to it, I just don't know if the 49ers offense will be able to keep up. And so I like that. I like to take the Chiefs in that, and the over-under here is 54.
Yeah, that was my next question. Started at 53.5.
Yeah.
Is at 54 now. I'm leaning over.
Yeah.
In general in the playoffs, I kind of skew under just because, you're playing against better opponents. Possessions really matter. Coordinators might be a little less aggressive, play for the field goal game.
Most coordinators wouldn't be as aggressive.
Correct.
These two,
yes,
will be very aggressive. I remember us sitting in this, well, not the same spot, but on the show last year talking about Rams Patriots, and I definitely took the over. I don't know what you did, and it was 13-3.
Yeah.
That was the worst bet possible. But that was in a game with one of the best defensive minds ever. And his last Super Bowl performance before that, they got burned for 40 points. So these guys aren't Bill Belichick. Great head coaches, but they're not defensive-minded, and they win through offense. That's what's going to happen in this game. I have to pick the over here. I'm predicting something like 34-31, 37-34, or 38-31. Those are some really good scores. I think this game is going to be something like that, and so that easily beats the over for me.
The other reason why I'm going over as well is I could see, whether it's because of turnovers and giving offenses short field or just outright scoring themselves, I think the defense might give you some points. The Niners, the only stops they might get might be with a turnover, whether it's a strip sack from Bosa or a pick or a pick six from Sherman.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that every time the Chiefs are on the field, somebody scores.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm taking the over, because I could see, I think the Chiefs are certainly in play in terms of like a special team score. Hardman or even Hill, who's been back there in certain situations.
Right.
But I could see the Niners defense scoring.
The fact that the Chiefs under Mahomes in the 4 playoff games they've had have yet to score fewer than 30 points makes the over pretty easy one to pick.
Yeah, you're more than halfway there.
Yeah, exactly. And then the 49ers, I think all season long, are averaging 30 points a game. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It would be incredibly it would be a huge outlier if this were to end in a score lower than 54 total points.
Right. Well, get ready for 10-7 for the Super Bowl in Miami. After we've said all that,
would be devastating.
Yeah, it would be. It would be devastating. I am. It might be famous last words, but I am certain that we're going to see some fireworks in Miami for the Super Bowl.
For sure.
And you're going to see us again.
Yes.
We're going to break down some of the prop bets. As you're watching this video, because there's so many now, so many prop bets, in the comments, let us know which ones you care about. Whether it's the pool that you're going to have wherever you're watching the Super Bowl, or just things that you bet on yearly with your friends, let us know, and we'll definitely be scrolling through the comments, and we'll implement that in our next video. Same time, same place, next week. Thanks for watching.